What's up, issues? Tim is here. Since one of the Coen brothers has his new film, Honey Don't, coming out this week. Now, I know it's not both of them, but I decided to go ahead and talk about the celebration of the Coen brothers. You know, it's such a shame they don't really do films together anymore. Like, I know there's rumors about them possibly doing a horror film together. That would be cool, but they haven't really done a film together since 2018. Since I started making YouTube videos, that's how long it's been since they've done a film together. Which is a shame because they've always put out some great stuff. Some great, I mean, their other like soul stuff were pretty decent. Like Drive Away Dogs was good, Macbeth was good, but it's always great when they did movies together. So I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite Coen Brothers movies because they've done some. Again, they've had a really great list on their shoulder. So here is my list. Number 10 is Miller's Crossing. Miller's Crossing is, of course, the Prohibition era America with Gabriel Bryan as Tom Reagan, who's a sharp-witted consigliere to the mob boss who navigates a gang war between Irish and Italian fractions. Of course, you got Albert Finney, Marcia Gay Harden, John Turturro. It is a really good one. Very insane at times. Gabriel Byrne was really great. Marcia Gay Harden gave a pretty good performance. It really felt more like a Scorsese movie than a Coen Brothers movie at times, but it's still a really good one, worth giving a go. Alright. Number 9 is Inside Llewyn Davis. Now, of course, it stars Oscar Isaac, who plays Llewyn Davis, who's a struggling folk singer who navigates a bleak winter week here. Of course, you got Carey Mulligan, John Goodman, Garrett Hedlund, Justin Timberlake. Great music, a great performance by a cat in this. Which the chemistry between Llewyn Davis and the cat in this is really good. It is a really decent film. Interesting music. John Goodman, who obviously worked with the Coen Brothers tons of times, did a great job here. Really good performances all around, and well worth a watch. All right, number 8 is Hail Caesar. Now, this movie, of course, stars the likes of Josh Brolin, George Clooney, Ralph Fiennes, Channing Tatum, Jonah Hill, Tilda Swinton, Scarlett Johansson. List goes on and on. It stars Josh Brolin, who plays Eddie Maddox, who's a 1950s Hollywood fixer who juggles studio chaos with a major star, Barrett Whitlock, played by George Clooney, who is kidnapped by Kamala's rioters. And it has some really fun dark humor to it. I love the 1950s Hollywood settings. Eldon Ehrenreich, who, by the way, him and Josh Brolin was just in Weapons together. I totally forgot they did another film together, which is this, before they did Weapons. But Hail Caesar is a really good one. Great performances by the cast. Really solid, really good film. Alright, number 7 is True Grit. One of the rare times where a remake is better than the original. This, of course, stars Jeff Bridges, a very young Haley Steinfeld before she became as popular as she is now, Matt Damon, Josh Brolin, Barry Pepper. And it takes place in Civil War, Arkansas, where 14-year-old Maddie Ross, played by Haley Steinfeld, hires grizzled U.S. Marshal Roster Coburn, played by Jeff Bridges, to track down his father's killer, Tom Chaney, and is joined by Texas Ranger LaBeouf here. True Grit is really good. One of the best Western films there is. Of course, this scored a couple of Oscar nominations, one of which was for Haley Steinfeld, one of the youngest nominees at the time. And Barry Pepper was great in this. Great cinematography. Really amazing Western, if you guys haven't seen that one. The original with John Wayne's good too, don't get me wrong. I still think the 2010 remake is a tad bit better. Alright. Number 6 is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Now, before, obviously Christopher Nolan gave us the upcoming Odyssey, the Coen brothers gave us their version of the Odyssey. Starring George Clooney, John Turturro, John Goodman, Holly Hunter, the list goes on. It takes place in the depressed era Mississippi, where 3 escaped convicts, Ulysses, Pete, and Delmar, embark on a quest for hidden treasure. and the Odyssey, loosely inspired by Homer's Odyssey. It is, of course, a modern version, but it's really interesting here. I mean, hey, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey might be great, but Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is hands down one of the best adaptations, even better than Troy. That would probably be until Christopher Nolan's version comes out, but that might end up being the best one. But still, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is still great. Great music here too. Tim Blake Nelson is so good in this one. John Goodman still steals so many scenes. John Turturro. I mean, some really good performances. Worth giving a go there. All right, number five is another John Turturro film, and that is Barton Fink. Now, of course, this also stars John Goodman, John Turturro, Tony Shalhoub. I mean, Coen Brothers really loves working with them. Like, he always had good relationship with the likes of John Turturro, John Goodman, Jeff Bridges. The list goes on and on. He knows how to work with great players. And here, of course, you got John Turturro, who plays Barton Fink, who's an idealistic New York playwright who moves to Hollywood in 1941 to write for movies here. And he is struggling with writer's block in a shady hotel. And Barton Fink is really good. You know, really hilarious. Great performances by Turturro. You know what? John Goodman has never got an Oscar nomination before. He's been in Oscar-nominated films. Like, he literally was in not one but two Oscar-winning films back-to-back with The Artist and Argo. How on earth has he never gotten an Oscar nomination is beyond me. He should have got one for this, for Big Lebowski. It's crazily... He's got Emmy nominations, obviously, for Roseanne and stuff, but how on earth does he not have one Oscar nomination? That is still... That always boggles my mind. But he is terrific in this. Turturro's great. Judy Davis. It is a really excellent film worth giving a go. Alright, number four is No Country for Old Men, which I believe is actually won Best Picture, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, it did win Javier Bardem an Oscar. This film actually won the Coen Brothers their first ever Oscar for Best Director. No Country for Old Men is an excellent film. And of course, stars Josh Brolin as Ewan Moss, who stumbles upon a drug deal gone wrong and takes like a briefcase of cash, sparkling a relentless pursuit by psychopathic hitman Anton Chagarin. And of course, you got Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, played by Tom Lee Jones, is trying to interfere in the body count here. And Javier Bardem, you know, he said stuff beforehand, but I feel like is a movie that really put Javier Bardem on the map for most people. And great performance here. One of his iconic performances today. Of course, Kelly MacDonald, Woody Harrelson, Garrett Dillahunt. Such great, amazing film. Definitely a modern type Western movie worth giving a go. Alright. Number three is Raising Arizona. Now, Raising Arizona, of course, stars Nicolas Cage, Holly Hunter, John Goodman, William Forsythe, Trey Wilson. And it stars Nicolas Cage, who plays H.I. McDonough, who's a petty criminal. And you got Ed, played by Holly Hunter, who's a former cop, married and desperately wants a child. Unable to conceive or adopt, they kidnap one of Arizona's quintuplets from a wealthy couple here. And it's a really decent dark comedy. Like, I can say this is a movie that really put the Coen Brothers on the map for most people. One of Nick Cage's best performances. It's hilarious throughout. John Goodman is, again, excellent in this one. Randall Tex Cobb is great. William Forsythe is terrific. Really good film, worth giving a go. Alright. Number two is Fargo. Of course, this is the movie that actually won Frances McDormand her first Oscar. Of course, starring William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi. You know, it's of course where William H. Macy plays Jerry Lundegaard, who's a desperate car salesman who hires two criminals to kidnap his wife to extort ransom money from his wealthy father-in-law. And this movie is insane. I mean, there is, of course, the wood chipper scene, one of the most iconic moments in movie history, featuring a wood chipper. But this is of course, there is the TV show, which is decent too. But the movie Fargo is just excellent. You know, really dark comedic stuff here. Pierce Stormer is great. William H. Macy, one of Frances McDormand. Frances McDormand, did stuff beforehand, obviously, but it was really Fargo that put her on the map for most people, and a great performance, to say the least. Obviously, she will go on to win two other Oscars, one of which is for Three Billboards, and the other one was with Nomadland. She did a great job of that too. I mean, McDormand is always amazing, and of course, she worked with one of the Coens on Tragedy Macbeth, which was also good. But yeah, Fargo is just an excellent one. And my number one favorite Coen Bros movie is none other than The Big Lebowski. I'm the dude. I mean, Big Lebowski is great. Jeff Bridges, John Goodman. John Goodman is so good in this. This is the movie that should have gotten an Oscar nomination, but sadly it didn't. Of course, David Huddleston, the late great Phil Seymour Hoffman, John Turturro, Steve Buscemi. Of course, here you got Jeff Bridges who plays like this laid back slacker who's mistaken for a millionaire with the same name here, and it's has lots of fun stuff to it. Uh, of course, there is some really cool bowling scenes in this, which you don't get much bowling movies, so always nice to see a cool bowling type film. But the closest thing you get to a bowling movie, really. Yeah, The Big Lebowski is just one of the funniest comedies of the 80s, of the 90s. One of Jeff Bridges' best roles today. It's such a good one. Hilarious, all around, well worth watching if you guys haven't seen it. I mean, great lines too. I mean, if you guys never seen The Big Lebowski, do yourself a favor, give it a go. It's a really good one. But that's pretty much it there. Here is my quick rundown. Number 10, Miller's Crossing. 9, Inside Llewyn Davis. 8, Hail Caesar. 7, True Grit. 6, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? 5, Barton Fink. 4, No Country for Old Men. 3, Raising Arizona. 2, Fargo. Number 1, The Big Lebowski. But there are other ones I probably could have included. Blood Simple. The Hudsucker Proxy. Men Who Wasn't There. Definitely not. That Lake Hill is probably his worst in my opinion. Battle of Buster Shrugs wasn't so bad. Now, when you get to their solo ones, Tragedy Macbeth was pretty decent. Drive Away Dogs was actually more better than most people make it out to be. Excited for Honey Don't this week, but anyway, let me know you guys. What are some of your favorite Coen Brothers movies? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Tim Signer.